Hit it. No sound, Allie.
This is sacred ground. It is tortured ground. And on Thursday night, it's going to be a place of murder. A murder that doesn't have to happen, but one that has happened now over and over and over again under a supposed pro-life governor that could stop any of these murders with a phone call.
There is no redemption with the death penalty. There is no hope with the death penalty. We pray that Governor Bill Lee will live up to what he writes on Twitter.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Christians, we are the problem. The death penalty would not stand a chance in America if it weren't for the support of Christians. 95% of executions are happening in the Bible Belt. So we are raising up our voices, right? To stand up for mercy, to stand up for life.
We won't be silent anymore. Everybody say somebody's hurting our children and it's gone on far too long.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Abe Bonowitz with Death Penalty Action, and here we are again with another live virtual vigil to oppose executions that are happening tonight. It's actually the first time I can remember in quite some time to just checking to see if I got a response to my request for information. I did not look in to see if the last time I can remember an execution in several different states at exactly the same time. I'm not even sure for sure if it's happened, but here we are tonight. Texas and Alabama scheduled to have executions in starting up in about the next hour. So I do want to say from the outset, I want to welcome everybody that's live on the Zoom. If you're watching on one of the social media channels, there's a link if you want to join the Zoom audience. However, we are here united in opposition to executions, and we're not going to tolerate anybody coming to disrupt what we're up to. That's why we set this up as a webinar, so that way we control exactly who's on the screen. But if people are getting antsy in the chat, we're going to take you out. And that's how it is. So we're all united together in opposition to our executions, and we're going to be prayerful and protestful, and we're going to stand witness in opposition to the executions. So thank you for being with us. We've got a number of special guests that should be joining us tonight. But we're going to start, as we always do, with remembering the victims, because we remember the victims, but not with more killing. So, Allie, are we ready with that from Captain Mike Zusman?
Shalom Aleichem, peace unto you. Cantor Michael Zusman with the thousands of members of L'chaim, Jews Against the Death Penalty. L'chaim means to life, and death penalty action. If you're watching this video, it means that our pen pals Casey McWhorter in Alabama and David Renteria in Texas are scheduled to be slaughtered on November 16th. As always, we first and foremost remember the victims. Before we do so, I want to share with you that this is what I'll be holding up today as I record this, as I'm about to head on to the National Mall in D.C. for a march for peace and a march to see the end to all killings. At the end of the day, that is our goal. May all the killings end, including the killings scheduled for today. We remember now the victim of David Renteria in Texas. Her name was Alexandra Flores. She was born in 1996, and David took her life on November 18th, 2001. This is her picture. In Alabama, we remember the victim of Casey McWhorter, Mr. Edward Lee Williams, whose life he took on February 18th, 1993, as a young man. I couldn't find any pictures online for Mr. Williams, so I have this placeholder of a candle representing him. I ask you now to lift them in your hearts as I offer this prayer from my own tradition for their spirits to guide us in love. Whether you have a spiritual tradition or a secular life stance, whatever it may be, please hold them in your thoughts now. El Malei Rachamim Shochen V'Adomim Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanafei HaShechina B'Ma'alot Kedoshim U'Taharim K'Zohar Rakia Mazirim Et Nishmot Alexandra Flores Yet Edward Lee Williams Shehalachul Le'olamam Began Eden Tehei Menuchatam Ana Ba'al Arachayim Hasirehem Beseter Knafecha Le'olamim Utzror Bitzror Achayim Et Nishmotehem Adonai Hu Nachalatam V'yanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavam V'nomar Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for an everlasting blessing. May their neshamot, their spirits, be loving guides to all who were privileged to know them. May their loved ones be comforted among all the mourners of the world. And may the killings end. Amen.
Thank you, Cantor Zusman. I see that Reverend Lynn Hopkins has joined us. Reverend Lynn, thank you for being there. You want to share with us a little bit about where you're at and what you're thinking? You need to unmute.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to get the controls on this phone. I'm not used to this interface. And just so you know, the sound is very weak. So I have trouble hearing you. You may have to holler or send me a message if I don't respond. But we're here at the Capitol at Montgomery on the world famous Dexter Avenue. And there's a handful of us here. I'll let you introduce yourself to the folks.
Hey everyone, I'm Dawson Hicks. I'm the Special Events Coordinator of Project Hope to abolish the death penalty. We're out here. We have a small crowd. We have a single candle lit, and we're just taking in this, solemn day and remembering. But, thank you so much to everyone tuning in and everyone that signed petitions, called the governor's office, done everything within your power to stop these killings happening both here and in Texas. So from all of us, the bottoms of our hearts, thank you so much to every single person that showed up today.
Other folks want to introduce themselves? All right, she's good.
Thank you. Both of you
Nope. Okay.
and a few others were present yesterday. Can you hear me all right, Lynn?
Yes, I got you.
So you were present yesterday in that spot also as you went up those stairs and went into the office of Governor Kay Ivey and delivered thousands of petition signatures on 2 different petitions. Anything you want to share out of that experience? We did get really good news coverage, so the world, those who consume media in Alabama are aware.
We did get good news coverage, and we got some video of Dawson speaking to the cameras here in the Montgomery TV news. We had 2 networks show up, which was gratifying. Sometimes there's no one. So, and we were well received by the governor's public relations head. She is very gracious and patient and kind, and I feel absolutely certain that she would be just as gracious and kind to Nazis as to anti-Nazis. She is very good at her job, but in the moment, she actually makes you feel like you're being heard. And she did assure us that she would make sure the governor saw those. We, of course, have heard nothing from the governor's office.
All right. Well, thank you, Lynn. So we'll be checking back with you in a little while. I'm going to just share my screen real quick and show people a little bit about what you all accomplished. This is an email that I sent out if you're not on the Death Penalty Action email list, but you can see this is just a screenshot from one of the news items on Fox 6. And the important thing here is that our message was heard, but clearly we're also the secondary message about asking for transparency in the execution process, asking for the witnesses to the execution to be able to see the entire process from the point of when the prisoner is rolled in their wheelchair, as we did like 5 times last year, executed people in wheelchairs, or they walk in. From the time that they enter the death chamber, we feel like the witnesses should see the process because of the track record, not just in Alabama, but especially in Alabama, because 3 of the past 4 executions attempts were not what you would expect to see, in that they didn't go smoothly. And in fact, Joe James Jr. Was poked and prodded and cut down for over 2 hours, and we knew he had a final statement prepared. And at this, and when they finally let the media in and opened up the curtains, he was already drugged and unconscious and unresponsive, so he couldn't give his final statement. I'm sure they knew that he would have then called them out for torturing him for several hours. And then, of course, the next 2 execution attempts were failed executions, not botched, because the people ended up living. They failed to do it at all, and they ended up sending those people back to their cells. The most recent Alabama execution did not have similar problems in the same way, but and now we'll see what happens tonight with Casey McWhorter. So I want to say that we're also monitoring what's happening in Texas, and we're waiting for folks to jump on the Zoom from Texas. I'm expecting somebody in a few minutes from outside the prison, and of course we'll be monitoring what's happening over there via the prison show on Facebook. But Danny is supposed to call in before she goes live with them. They won't be going live until about 5:45. But it should be interesting there as well. Of course, we're still waiting for final word on David McWhorter's legal status. However, one of the things about David Renteria, got to get this pronunciation together. He is a Native American, so we're told that there may be some Native American ceremony happening as well, and if we can, we'll be looping into that as well. So, so that's what we're expecting this next hour or so. We've got a few people I want to welcome, and in a few minutes we'll hear from Texas. And if we get anybody else on from any of the other simultaneous vigils in Alabama, we'll share and hear from them as well. We're also hoping that people who know Casey or David, if you know them, let us know. If you're willing to say a few words about them, then we would welcome you to do that. So I see Charlotte and Amy before her, and just looking in the chat here. Yeah. Oh, there's Carol. Good. Carol, I'm going to bring in, let's invite Carol Turres up to the panel. Carol lives in Tennessee now, but Carol, you should see a little note to invite you to accept the invitation to join the panel. Carol lives in Tennessee now, but she used to live in El Paso, and that is where El Pasoans Against the Death Penalty had their vigil earlier today. And let's see here. Carol, are you on the? There you are. So you need to turn on your camera and your microphone.
Oh, okay.
There we are. Welcome, Carol, and hello. We're glad you're here. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Dave. I went to the entire David Renteria trial, all 2 weeks of it. There were 2 hours in the first week that I skipped out because I remembered I had done a sketch of Alexandra Flores while she and her family were in the San Jacinto Plaza, and I happened to be drawing things that day. So a year before this, when she was only 4, I did her sketch. So I thought I better go home and get that sketch, which I did, and I gave it to the mother. She seemed pleased with it. David's got a very complicated story here, especially because he claims that the Azteca gang from Juarez and El Paso influenced him to do this crime, whether by coercion or what. But we don't really know the truth on that. But in any case, he did do some things that just nobody would accept. I think that the Flores family had to spend 20 years going back to various hearings and such about this, and keeping their emotions high and anguish going through all that. And if there had been a simple guilty plea and a life in prison without parole, then they wouldn't have had to go through all that.
Wow. So, David claims that, he didn't murder Alexandra, and, and obviously that's a source of controversy in this particular case. But did that come through in the trial as you were watching?
Well, at the beginning of the trial, the judge said, we're not going to mention gangs in this trial, not any mention of it. And all of the lawyers on both sides, yeah. So they all agreed, no mention of gangs. And that really surprised me because I think that was an important element of it.
Well, that's pretty incredible. And that's one of the issues that they've been trying to appeal, is access to what information the prosecutors have. So it's crazy. Carol, go ahead.
About on the Friday of the first week of the trial, there was a note that was given. Somebody testified that Renteria had been given the green light, which means that the Azteca gang was going to kill him. And so right away, the judge says, okay, we will have to stop this right now and we'll recess for the weekend. And then maybe the defense can work on this angle over the weekend. And then when I went back to the courtroom on Monday morning, sitting right, they were only a few feet away from me, the defense lawyers. I said, you must have been very busy this weekend working on the Azteca angle. And they just laughed. They said, we went to Vegas.
Okay. I want to come back to you, but hold on a minute, because we've got Danny here for a few minutes, and I want to make sure that we get a chance to hear from the prison site. Danny, can you hear me all right? You're muted.
There we go. All right.
And also turn your phone on the side. Let's see what happens if you turn it sideways there. There we go. You get a little bit of a wider view. So, okay. Danny Allen, thank you.
Brothers, nieces, nephews. He has a family, and that family will be the new crime victims.
Okay, is that okay?
Yes, it is. It's gotta hear you over Gloria, but thank you for being here. And you want to just share with us the scene, what's happening there? Maybe show us what's going on.
To visit him.
Well,
weeks. In fear.
We don't have a whole lot going on right now. We have some people over here that went to school with David, and they were talking about how they not only went to school, but they bought the house that he was living in. I'm not really sure, not sure if they bought the house that he was living in, and if that were the crime, where he was living when the crime took place. Anyway, they're here. They drove from El Paso. He has some family members who are not witnessing, but they're here. They did do visits with him this week. He does have his spiritual advisor that will be in the chamber with him, Miss Dorothy Ruelas. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She will be with him. I know periodically I've seen David's family on Saturday nights visiting with him, so they do come. I don't want to say frequently because it's a long drive from El Paso over here. Sure. I also know that we just found out that during the day today, we had the CCA that hadn't ruled on the drugs. I think I sent it to you, Abe, also.
I saw that.
Yeah. The drugs, how they turn out, when they're out of date. And that was from Georgia. And his attorneys filed that, and I think that's up at the Supreme Court right now, if I'm not mistaken. I'm having issues. I cannot download it. Can you download it, Abe?
Not really, but I've got it sort of. I'm going to share my screen here and show it to everybody. It's kind of kind of a little bit fuzzy, but you can see this is the motion for a stay pending. Let's see, appeal. David Renteria, through undersigned counsel, respectfully moves to stay his execution. The image below, taken by the Georgia Department of Corrections, shows what happens to compounded pentobarbital when it degrades due to improper handling. So you can see it sort of appears to be coagulating or solidifying. And thank you for sending that to me. I don't know what's happening at the courts, and I'm waiting for a heads up from somebody that's watching the Supreme Court for us. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can see it from there, but for those who don't know where Danny's at, she's right in front of the Walls unit, the Huntsville unit. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And you can see just over her shoulder is the administration building, and then there's this road, and point it back to the prison there, if you can, Danny. Thank you. And you can see like right over her shoulder is where the front door of the prison is. And we know the execution's going forward when people cross that street and go into the prison, which will typically happen a little bit after 6 o'clock. And then, of course, when people come out, that's when we know the execution has been completed. But you can't see it from here, but a couple of months ago, there was a huge fire that burned a lot of the prison. And some previous legal teams were arguing that the fire may have impacted the drugs that are stored at the prison. Well, it certainly worked last time. So we'll see the last 2 times with Jedediah Murphy and Brent Brewer. So, yeah, the method of execution arguments are pretty hard to expect they're going to catch, but that's how it is. So, Danny, what else can you share with us about the scene out there, and any thoughts you want to share about what's happening tonight? And if you've met David, I'd love to hear a little bit about him too.
I have. I've met him through at visitation, by waving. I haven't, I've never visited him. He's always been very, I don't want to say withdrawn, because that's not the right word, but he kept to himself. The crime itself is very, it's just, it's a bad situation. And it's so hard because usually in this type of, on these executions, we've seen it in the past where we've been yelled at. We've even been, people have rolled down their windows and spat at us. And, because we are out here, protesting this execution. And like we tell people, we're protesting the death penalty, not necessarily defending his actions, because that's not what we're doing.
Nobody's going to argue that murdering a little girl is okay.
No.
It's not about that.
No, it's not about that. But people tend to believe that we're doing that. And it's very, like, I anticipate when I get on the prison show tonight that I'm going to have to weed through some comments. And even today, I had to delete comments on the event. And I had to ban some people. And we cannot bring her back. Yeah. Although we wish we could. We grieve for her family, and we're going to grieve for his family too, because that they're going through hell too.
For sure. Well, Danny, I want to thank you so much for bringing us live. We're going to end up, we'll end up sharing some of your live stream once you go live on the prison show on Facebook. You mentioned that there might be some dancers from the Native American community. Does that appear to be happening tonight, or?
I have not seen any, but if they come, we'll definitely be showing that. And just remember, now there's two vans over there. I'm not sure if I'm doing it correct, if you can
Yes, you
see it.
are. That's good.
But the two vans are what the witnesses use now because of the fire. And
all right, that's kind of like in Florida too. When you see the vans move, that's when you know it's happening.
right. And that's what it's like now. So we anticipate that when they get in the vans, when they come out of the administration building and get in the vans, we know that it's time.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Danny. We'll be checking back with you through the live stream that you're doing. So, I'll just say how thankful we are for the connection through you with what's happening there at the Walls Unit in Huntsville, Texas. And, more soon.
Okay, thank you.
You. So I want to recognize we've got a number of people that have joined the panel here, and let's see. But first, I know Shane Claiborne is here, and Scotty, I don't even know how to say your last name, Utz or whatever. But
we say Oots.
Oots. Okay, that was not. Let's see. That's. Lynn, I brought you in. I thought you were Shane for a minute. Let me just find Shane here on my little. There we are. So just quickly, because I know Shane's got another event to go to tonight. But what we often do, and what we're going to do tonight at the times of executions, is toll a bell to call attention to everybody, and we've done this all over the country. I've got my bell. I brought it in here. It's right here. We're going to share that later on, but something special happened. And Shane, I want to invite you to bring your words, whatever you got about the executions tonight, but also introduce Scotty and a little bit about what we've created here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's always so powerful and important to be together to stand against these executions. No one should ever die without a protest and without people voicing and showing up to say this is wrong. And so it's incredible to see people all over the world, folks who knew the folks whose life is on the line tonight, and folks who didn't, because this is not just about what they may have done, but it's about who we are, to say we are not people who believe that violence solves the wounds of violence. And one of the things that we've been doing where Scotty and I connect is over 10 years ago, a bunch of us got inspired by a biblical vision of the prophets that's actually familiar to people of many different faith traditions. But both Micah and Isaiah in the scriptures cast a vision where people will beat their swords into plows and their spears into pruning hooks. And it literally says people will study and learn violence no more. So it's a vision of turning from death to life, and also transforming the tools of death into tools of life. Metal that's been crafted to kill, and repurposing it into metal that's crafted for life and beauty. And so we said, we don't have a lot of swords in America, but we have more guns than we have people. And so we invited people to disarm, to donate guns if they wanted to get rid of them. And our first donated gun was an AK-47. Which we turned into a shovel and a rake. And over the last decade, we've done hundreds and hundreds of guns that we've repurposed. I've got one visual here. This is a shovel that we've made out of a gun. This is the gun barrel and the wood stock from the gun. And I also tell my evangelical friends sometimes this is what a gun looks like when it gets born again. And every time we do it, we are declaring that all things can be made new. And it's what's true of metal is also true of human beings, that even someone who's committed murder is more than a murderer, and that they also have the image of God in them. And people can be transformed. And the death penalty is the denial of that truth of redemption. It denies the possibility of a human being being transformed, and it mirrors the very evil that we're trying to heal the world of. And so tonight it's powerful to cry out in the name of the victims of these crimes, but also to say that violence is the problem, not the solution. And tonight, Scotty joined us because he's one of the most talented, but one of many blacksmiths and metal crafters that are a part of the network of Raw Tools. And just in case you missed it, we get our name from flipping war around backwards. And so because we're flipping weapons around, and Scotty's been working on a really important project for the movement to abolish the death penalty and for death penalty action. So I'll pass it to him because he's been making something for us.
Thank you, Shane. I feel a lot of gratitude for the work that y'all are doing and hosting this vigil. It is, I think, important for us to come together as a community and stand up against the powers of the state when they come to hurt one of our own. And I too believe in the power of new life, and working with metal and having hooked up with Shane and Mike at Raw Tools. I made 3 strikers. Shane cut up some guns and sent me some gun parts and asked me to turn them into strikers for y'all. This one that's being held up now by Abe, that is the stock of Springfield shotgun that we cut up here in Asheville. And I was just thinking that it was already a perfect striker, didn't need anything but turning that handle around. And then there's made 2 others, and I'd made them different styles because I didn't really know what would work. And these are barrels that Shane had cut up and sent to me. And so I turned them into hammers.
You hear that all right?
Yeah.
So keep talking, Scotty. That's, I wanted to make sure you were present for this first time of striking these. We'll toll our bells around the time of executions, and we have a whole project where we encourage faith communities to toll their bells at the time of execution. And now we've got these raw tools made from guns to use as strikers the next time we're present somewhere with these bells. I'm going to send one down to the folks in Florida where they've got the other half. This bell is made out of a, if you can see it, this is the top of a gas cylinder, right? And if you can imagine it, if you've seen them on backs of trucks and such, there's a bottom to it. There's a middle section and there's a bottom, and they've also the bottom is also turned into a bell. And that one lives in Florida, and we often see that on these vigils. So they're going to get one of these strikers. And Scotty, what else you want to say other than I want to say how grateful we are. I asked Scotty, how much do we owe you? And he said, well, the postage was $15. So, Shane provided the guns, Scotty chopped them up and transformed them and donated this work and this metal to our movement. So I want to thank you, and we're going to be using these tonight.
I'll say that it's a somber occasion that brings us all together, and yet I do believe that there is power in community and being together. And I also think there's something beautiful about inviting the bell to sound and to ring in the way that reverberates just as our lives move out and reverberate past our own striking out here on this planet. And that's a helpful image for me to hang on to. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Don't go away. I want to welcome and introduce Sonia Evans and somebody else with you, Sonia, who is a family member of Casey McWhorter's. Do you want to introduce yourselves? Welcome and thank you for being here.
Oh, bear with me. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you on a phone there?
I am, and we're sitting outside a restaurant where we've come to have our anniversary dinner.
Oh, wow. Can you turn your phone sideways?
Turn it sideways.
Oh, I see what you mean, like that.
Yeah.
Here I have with me is Michael. He is Casey's uncle. He's his mom's brother.
Yeah, me and Casey grew up together. Him being where he is does not define who he is. I mean, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know. I mean, we went and visited him Monday, and he says he's at peace with everything, but he still wished that they would overturn it.
He says, say that again.
So when we went and seen him Monday, he said he was at peace, that he's found Jesus since he's been in there, and he knows where he's going.
Well, thank you. We're grateful that you were able to join us, both of you. And so are you near the prison now, or are you back home?
We're back home.
Yeah.
Okay, well, stay with us if you can, if you want to, and know that we've got over 60 people here together from around the world, as well as a fairly large audience on various social media channels. So through you, Casey's voice is going worldwide, and we're just grateful to be together with you. So
thank y'all for everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I see that Esther has arrived over at Judy's house. Esther Brown is the there you are. Esther Brown is the I don't know what you call yourself, the convener or the for Project Hope to Abolish the Death Penalty. Go ahead.
Was the last time that I spoke with Casey on the phone. We spoke yesterday evening, quite a long call. And really what I want to do here, I just want to bring Casey's words because he's the person that matters. For me, he's the only person who matters at this point. We are very grateful to Reverend Jeff Hood because we know Casey's not alone. But I just want to read a little what he said, if that's all right with you. I think you may know that when he was asked what he wanted to tell the world before he died, Casey said, to not judge your fellow man by the worst mistake that they've made, but to judge that man by what he learned from the mistake and how he applied it to his life. My hope, and he gave a lot of interviews at the end, my hope for these interviews is to reach out to people who may be in the same situation I was, confused and don't know how to reach out and don't know what choices to make, he said. Hopefully some of my life can be an example of things not to do for them. And then most especially, and that is from the McWhorter tapes that I really highly recommend for people to read. I don't care where they are. We talked about love, and we talked about that too. And So I think I'm just going to give him his word. Why do we allow our minds to stop? We too often assume that the end is the end. Many assume that death is the end because we dare not imagine any other way. We dare not because we think we are so much more enlightened than everybody else. Heaven and angels sound foolish amid the stark reality of a dead body. Maybe what we're talking about is far more logical than fairy tales. Love is something that we know, even if we can't explain it. You see, we believe in what we feel because we know what we feel. Love exists, but can it die? Logic would force most to say yes. How can a dead body love? Perhaps love is not wedded to the body. Perhaps love is so much greater than anything that we could imagine, even death. To the doubters, we invite them to prove us wrong. If one could prove that love is an energy that dies, then we could stop the conversation right now. But you can't. There's absolutely no way to prove that love dies. There is too much love that sticks around after death. But you can prove that it lives. Something that exists without death is immortal. Love is immortal. The end is not the end. There is no stranger theological declaration. It forces us to reconsider everything that seems so obvious. Love always invites us to look beyond prepackaged answers, to a place beyond comprehension. What is not what will always be. What will always be is not always what is. Time becomes strange and warped amidst thoughts about endings. We must hold on to what we know. Whether by absence or presence, we know love. We know what we have. We know what we want. We know what we desperately yearn for. Love is the assurance of things hoped for. Can you kill hope? Our consciousness hopes for love at its very core. Hope never dies. The idea and desire for love lives. The end is but a beginning. Meet us at the gates of heaven. Then again, why should there be any gates? Heaven is supposed to be open for all. Maybe a better way to say it is, meet me along the way to where love is taking us. We also said, it's just, all his friends on the row, all his dear friend in England, his family, of course, and we all are family. We're going through a very rough time. And we thank you for all the support that you have given Casey and us, especially the Reverend Jeff Ford, and of course, Death Penalty Action. We love you.
Well, thank you, Esther. For those folks who are new to this environment and to Project Hope to Abolish the Death Penalty, could you just take a moment to introduce us to Project Hope to Abolish the Death Penalty and your connection to that?
My connection, Project Hope to Abolish the Death Penalty is the only death row organization in the country that was founded on death row in '89. My board and my chairman are all on death row. I happen to be on the outside, the executive director. I'm in touch with them. I've been in touch with them a lot today. Of course, they're now on lockdown. And as one of them said to me, it gets very quiet when there's an execution. But they held their vigil. They held the vigil today. They held the vigil yesterday and the day before. And they stood in a circle and talked about Casey. Seeing we're talking about executions, his very dear friend, Kenny, I just heard from him before I came up here. They tried to kill him once, and now they're going to use the gas chamber. He's going through a very, very bad time. Another friend that I'm very close to, he's just staying in a cell. It's incredible what one does, what we do to people. But at the same time, I know they're with us, and I know they're with Casey. And this morning, actually, I heard that when he was on the phone with his friend in England, they heard a shout, "Love you, man." And he was so touched by that. And it was just wonderful when you called me at 10 to 7 this morning. And yesterday evening, we talked for almost an hour. I hope he's right that love is forever, and we do think that love is forever.
I'm sharing here a picture that
Here's the Reverend Jeff Hood, and we love him, and he will also be the spiritual advisor for Kenny.
yes.
So grateful to all of you.
So this is a picture that Jeff sent to me yesterday. So this is a current. I had not seen a current image of Casey. Just for a moment, I want to share also that I put a link in the chat there. There's apparently a new filing for David Renteria. So looks like we'll be on a stretched out agenda or stretched out timetable for him. So we'll see how that goes. We'll keep monitoring that. But as far as I know, there may also still be something pending for Casey. I'm not sure about that. We're trying to lock that down. But I wanted to share that image. And thank you, Esther, for sharing all of that. We have it's so hard for people to even imagine what it's like working with folks like this on death row all the time, and you've pretty much made this your life. So thank you for your presence and your leadership, and for letting us work with you, and all of that. Ali, are we ready with the video from Jeff?
Yes, give me just 1 second.
Sure. So I want to introduce this. Last night, after Jeff got back from being at the prison all day, we got on a Zoom and made a recording. Of course, he can't be with us. He's often with us on these vigils, but he can't be because he's in the prison right now. So he recorded some thoughts for us about what's happening and where Casey's at. And also, you'll hear at the very end, Casey and his voice bringing a message to us as well. So let's roll that.
Good evening. Tonight is a difficult night for me, and I'm sure for many of you. Casey McWhorter is a dear friend of mine, and if you're watching this, I am either presently in the execution chamber with him, or just having left the execution chamber with him. Oftentimes when I think about what it means to engage with these moments, I'm sometimes at a loss for words or thoughts as to what to compare being in that chamber. And one of the passages that means so much to me, and I engage it over and over again. Every time I'm present in the chamber for one of these executions, I read it in the chamber. And it's the story of Jesus. He encounters the adulterous woman. Jesus is going into the temple, and the people come to him. And he begins to sit down and teach. During this time, the religious leaders throw a woman at his feet who had been caught in adultery. Well, this woman, having been caught in adultery, was guilty of a capital offense in the society at the time. The law of Moses said that she should be stoned. The Pharisees, the religious leaders, looked to him and said, "What do you say?" Instead of responding in some sort of, eloquent, forceful reply, Jesus doesn't make a lot of arguments. He simply does something. And what he does is he gets down in the dirt with this woman and he begins to write. Having been down in the dirt with this woman, it's very clear in this moment that if the stones had started flying, if the religious leaders had executed this woman, Jesus would have been executed too. You see, Jesus had placed his very body between the woman and her accusers. Of course, this famous adage comes from this moment where the Pharisees begin to walk away. The religious leaders begin to walk away. And Jesus tells the woman, "Where are your accusers now?" And this is all predicated on Jesus looking at the religious leaders and saying, "You who are without sin, cast the first stone." Where are your accusers now? I see my work and I see our work as a practice of getting out down in the dirt, placing our bodies between those who are lined up at execution chambers across our country, placing our bodies into the conversation and saying, if you're going to kill them, then you're going to have to kill me too. And looking at our culture and saying, whoever is without sin, perform the next execution. I think this verse, this moment, is so instructive for us. We're not always going to be perfect, but we can do something. We can place our bodies into the conversation. We can get down in the dirt, and we can be present. I'm thankful that Casey McWhorter extended to me that opportunity this evening. And I pray that we will all continue to get dirty, to get down in the dirt with those our government seems so zealous to kill. Quickly, I wanted to also turn your attention, Casey McWhorter, we recorded a word from him just a short bit ago that he wanted to share. Blessings.
Hey, this is Casey McWhorter. If you're listening to this, that means I'm home now, in a better place, and I wanted to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your support and all of your petitions. They mean a lot. Even though we didn't win this time, know that you made a difference in my life by your support. And I thank you and I love you all.
We love you too, Casey.
So obviously it's a little bit early for it to have happened. Normally we'll see some kind of message, and I haven't seen anything yet that the media has been taken over to the witness to the execution chamber. I don't know if you've seen anything yet, but we can expect that that's happening soon. I've not seen. I did see a message from the Catholic Mobilizing Network that it looks clear that all the appeals are completed. So Meanwhile, we're going to continue until we hear, something definitive. Um, but Casey's friend Amy has joined us, and I want to give you a moment. But first, I do want to check in real quick and just see what's happening over at the prison. Um,
Jamie, I don't think that he got that message at 5 p.m.
all right, so they're still sorting things out at the prison there in Texas. Um, so let's bring up Amy. Welcome.
Hey, how are y'all?
Yes, we can hear you. You want to introduce yourself a little bit?
My name's Amy Battle. I've been a friend of Casey since we were in high school. We rode the same school bus. I always joke that we had such a long ride because we were out in the country and we had to go to a city school, and it was an hour there and it was an hour back every day. And he was so so determined that he was going to be my friend, and he just kept at me every day. And eventually he just grew on me and we became friends. Um, and our lives kind of intermingled when I got married. He was a friend of my husband's, and so he was around quite a bit. And so I really got to know him really well. And um, after this happened, after the murder happened, he contacted me, and I was really just shocked because it wasn't the person that I knew. If you know Casey, he's goofy and silly and fun, and he always wants you to smile, um, and it just didn't seem like him. But I had seen him over the time, over that period of time, kind of deteriorate into a more depressed state. I could see the changes in him. Um, but our first phone call after it happened was nothing about him. It was him asking me about my life, making sure that I was okay, taking care of me, which is something that he always does. I saw him on Tuesday. Um, he was lighthearted and joking, and asking about us, and and just more focused on us than himself. And to me, that's what Casey was. He was just selfless. He is. Um, I really hope that people remember him for who he was instead of what he did, and not just by the mistakes that he made. Um, because he is remarkable. He really is.
Is there much of a more community from school days that are also following what's happening with Casey and connecting in?
I think so. I've seen and heard from quite a few people that we grew up with that have either tried to visit or have talked to him on the phone or email, trying to keep up with him. But he's been pretty good over the years about staying in touch and keeping his relationships open. Um, I testified at his Rule 32 hearing in, I believe it was like 2009, and he had a great deal of support then as well. So, but I think he has a good support system.
It's pretty amazing. I'm no attorney, but are you able to share what that Rule 32 thing is about? Do you know?
I'm not really sure what it was, but they just, I think it was just basically trying to get a new trial,
Yeah.
or it's just part of the appeal process. I'm not really sure, but I testified as a character witness for him, and I didn't get to sit in on all the other days, but after I testified, I was able to. But he had a good amount of support there with him at that time.
Well, it's beautiful that you were able to be a friend to Casey all these years, and that you're involved in this moment. Most Many people on death row don't have that level of support. So thank you. We're
They
glad
really
to
don't.
hear.
Well, I appreciate everything that you guys have done, and Jeff as well. I met him, and he really seemed to be a great comfort to Casey, and that's just all that any of us could hope for, is that someone that he has someone at the end that really knows him and supports him.
one of the things that Jeff has really been really impactful out here is giving Casey a voice. And
Yes.
through putting together the tapes and the blog posts and the book that was created, and the message I got from Casey just about how grateful he was for all the birthday messages that people sent, and how amazed he was that so many people would sign a petition for him. You know, I'm just grateful to be a part of this community, and that you're a part of this community.
Thank you.
So I see Dr. Ehrenberg, you've got your hand up. If you could just put it in the chat what we can tell you, then that would be great. I see that Magdalena is here. Let's find your. You still ready for us? There you are. I'm gonna bring Magdalena Rose Avila on the phone or on here. Can you turn on your dashboard light or something so we get focused? You there? Leno? Well, he must have stepped out of the car for a minute, so we'll just come back to him. Charles Keith? Where's Charles? Charles is also out. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Let me just take a quick look and we'll jump back over to see what's happening outside the prison. I'm gonna just share
Okay, can y'all point the light at the street?
It doesn't go that far. I don't think.
Yeah, there we
I can
go.
try.
So this is the scene outside
I'm worried about her now.
Texas. Running away from the prison. Something's going on over here at the parking area across from the prison.
Hang on, here.
That's actually a very more than usual crowd.
I'm gonna have to go. I know I'm gonna have to go. Hey, Clementine, do you mind? I'm gonna.
So that's so they're still all standing by outside the prison, and this is where we get into these moments here in these vigils, which we do each time that there's an execution in the United States. And we're grateful for everybody that comes and is paying attention to what's happening. And you get into these moments of not knowing exactly what's happening, and that's what we're still waiting for to hear about. Have the witnesses gone into the prison in Texas? Have the witnesses gone into the prison in Alabama? So if anybody is following that and tracking it and can let us know, that's always good. Let's see here. I see Annalisa, did you want to say something? Just checking my texts here. Ali, why don't we go for a song? Let's hear from Brandon Pfeiffer, and we'll take a little pause here as we try to check in on exactly what the status is of these executions that we expect to be happening this evening. So this is Brandon Pfeiffer with Vote Common Good, who's often with us live, and tonight we've got him by tape.
Said goodbye, turned around, and you were gone, gone, gone. faded into the setting sun, slipped away. Oh, but I won't cry, 'cause I know I'll never be lonely. You are the stars to me. You are the light I follow. I'll see you again. Oh, this is not where it ends. I will carry you with me. Oh, till I see you again. I can hear those echoes in the wind at night, calling me back in time, right back to you. Oh, in a place far away where the water meets the sky, the thought of it makes me smile, 'cause you are my tomorrow, and I'll see you again. Oh, this is not where it ends. I will carry you with me. Oh, till I see you again. Sometimes I feel my heart is breaking, but I'll stay strong and I'll hold on, 'cause I know, yeah, 'cause I know, well, yeah, 'cause I know I will see you again. Oh, this is not where it ends. I will carry you with me. Oh, I will see you again. Oh, this is not where it ends. I will carry you with me. Oh, I will see you again. This is not where it ends. I will carry you with me. Oh, oh, till I see you again. Said goodbye, turned around, and you were gone.
Janet, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Abe. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Janet Walsh. I'm a Christian believer. I live near Manchester in the United Kingdom, and the death penalty was completely abolished in the UK back in 1969, over 50 years ago. So I'm standing here with you all as you campaign to abolish the death penalty in both Texas and Alabama, and to try to save the lives of those condemned to death, and especially today for Casey McWhorter and David Renteria. And this is my prayer for Casey and David. O Lord, compassionate and gracious God, who is slow to anger and abounds in love and forgiveness, I bring Casey McWhorter and David Renteria before you now as they face their pending execution. As it says in the Bible, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what you have prepared for those who love you. Thank you for this promise of what is to come, that special place where the trials and tribulations of life will give way to an everlasting presence with you. May Casey and David carry this hope in their hearts as they prepare to suffer this cruel and deliberate ending of their lives here on earth. Please bring comfort too to their family and friends. Draw close to them as sadness fills their hearts, and wipe the tears from their eyes. And for the victims' families, I pray that you will be able to forgive them for the part they played in the death of your loved ones. For as Jesus says, if you do not forgive men their sins, your Father in heaven will not forgive you your sins. And I pray that you will have peace. For Governor Greg Abbott and Governor Kay Ivey, I pray that as you continue to hold the role of governor, that you will be able to clothe yourselves with compassion, with kindness, with humility, with gentleness and patience, and even at this late stage, to call for clemency. And to my fellow abolitionists, I say, stand firm and let nothing move you. Continue to give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord in campaigning for the end of the death penalty. For your labor in the Lord will not be in vain. And I offer up all these prayers now in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Janet. Lynn, do you have any updates there from the Capitol?
Well, it's just me now. The folks who were up here with me needed to get home because they live in far off towns and have, work to attend to. I keep watching the newspaper page, refreshing every few seconds just to see the same post from 510. We haven't heard anything more. It's so maddening that we can't get anything from Holman because they don't allow anybody on the campus except those who are witnesses, and they go in without any communication apparatus. Even the reporters are not allowed on site until they are granted special dispensation by the DOC. It's an extraordinary closed box here in Alabama, and we just wait.
It's very similar everywhere. It's hard for us to keep track of things, but I was just watching on the prison show live stream. And you can see the vans were still sitting there outside the administration office there in Texas. I do want to share my screen and show you all the these are the decisions, the orders of the court from the U.S. Supreme Court, and I was just noticing that we've got this is a cert denied for Casey. And then we've got a cert denied for Casey again, so two of them. And then a cert denied for, so certiorari is when they agree to take the case, so denied for David. And they don't have time stamps on these, so we know it's today, just not sure if it's the current case, but that's kind of what's happening. Also watching over here on the docket to see, I think this is the latest, actually maybe we can tell if I go back over here. This is case number 77118, and if we look at this, it's a different number. So so we're going to be watching over here on, this is on the if you get to this case page, you can see that the petition for writ of certiorari has been filed, and then the state has submitted its response, and that's where it stands on that. Let's see, while I've got this, I'll just flip back over here and see what's happening. This is the live stream from outside the prison. Again, here outside the prison is you can see the vans for the witnesses are still there. And so what's going on there? There we go. I don't know why that does that, but okay, so we can see we're still in a holding pattern um, with these things, and sometimes that's how it goes with these things. So, McDonald, are you back yet? So if you can just hold that camera up a little bit higher, maybe turn it to the side.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it to the page.
Yeah, there you go. If you can just turn it to the side so we get a horizontal. And, yeah, there we go.
I don't want to be horizontal. I'm a free
You don't
man.
want to be horizontal, right?
Well, I do. I want to go to bed, but I was just driving through and got to listen to the songs and some of the words. And I just want to thank the sister who's staying out there and waiting for the decision. I'm sorry that other people had to go home, but that's the case of a lot of people. Like I'm driving, starting my trip back to Magdalena, making a lot of stops. I'm in Colorado Springs right now, doing some work. So I've been driving all day. I think one of the things that really strikes me about the abolitionists is they don't give up very easily. Is if people wonder, there's a lot of movements that I'm a part of that if things don't go right, they start mumbling and grumbling and don't come back or don't come back for a long time. Our folks are pretty consistent. And what we have to do is keep reaching out for people. And right now I'm going through a dilemma because I embraced nonviolence in 1970 when I was with the farm workers. And I've been trying to write an article about how that nonviolence got me to opposing the death penalty. And so that I could reach out, trying to get some more light on this situation. So I could reach out to more Latinos. So it's really difficult to go and say, here's why I'm doing this. And I spent 2 nights ago, I was with Scott Harrison, who was an old Amnesty person who Abe knows, and who was a vet in the Vietnam War. And we just talked about all the mistakes that our U.S. government did in the war. And our government is making mistakes with this capital punishment. And it's going to be a dark chapter in our world history that they executed their own citizens, and especially when some of them didn't need to be executed. It's very important for us not to give up. I'm glad that people didn't give up on me and helped me to become nonviolent, then helped me to practice against the death penalty. And the other thing I started an organization for gangs in El Salvador called Homies Unidos, and we have 2 offices. One is in LA and one is in Denver. And 2 nights ago, I went to visit the office of Homies downtown. And these are gang members that people said they were the worst of the worst, and we ought to get rid of them. We ought to kill them. And they're changing the hearts and minds of youngsters so that they don't get tattoos and join gangs. So I think I'm proud to be part of this movement, and I'm proud to be able to listen. And it really struck me, the song that the brother was singing, that we're not saying goodbye, I'm going to see you again. And I thought that was very comforting, because a lot of us have lost friends because of COVID and other things in the past year. And that song was comforting me, that they may try to take you away, but I'm going to find you. Wherever they place you, I'm going to find you, and we're going to be together. Just one thing about, because I'm one of the believers in heaven and hell, and is I'm not going to go into the pearly gates, even if I find out that I'm qualified for some of the good work I did, unless they have brown feathers, jalapenos, and that they're not going to make me be naked. I don't want to be naked in heaven. I didn't like being naked here. But I think it's a great thought about getting there. And I think a lot of people who have just been mean, awful, rotten son of a guns, when they get to those pearly gates, they're going to have to answer a lot of questions. Why did you do it? And we just have to know that their grandchildren and their children, we can reach them, and they will help change. You know who changed the governor in Washington? We had a woman governor, and she didn't want to come on board with gay rights. It was her daughter over dinner who said, "Mom, you're on the wrong side of history. You got to sign the bill protecting gay rights." So, we may not get the adults to move, but I'm sure we're reaching the youth. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to be here with you. I'm in Colorado Springs, by the way, which the altitude is high, so I'm having trouble breathing, but I'll get over that. So I send you all my best jalapenos.
But that's all we could ever ask for is your best jalapenos. Thank you, Leno. You're always was a great comment there from Andrea about how she's all saying that you're a great teacher. So don't let that inflate your head too much, but it's true.
We're all teachers. We're all teachers.
Yes, Charles Keith here is here to teach us a little bit too. Charles, what do you got?
Charles Keith, Impacted Communities Liaison for Death Penalty Action. I keep fading in and out because my family has taken an interest in this particular case. I was explaining to my mom, for the first time, there's going to be 2 executions in one night, and we're going to share that. And she says she couldn't believe that we had to actually be a part of 2 deaths in one night. My family is basically taking a back seat a lot of times when I'm going through these vigils because our family has been involved in this, in wrongful conviction, the death penalty, and so on and so forth. My brother was convicted in 1994 in Ohio for a crime he did not commit. But our family didn't get a chance to go quite this far. My brother Kevin's case was commuted by then Governor Strickland in 2010. So we've kind of had it, not fighting the death penalty. But I'm telling my mom, other families are fighting the death penalty, and she cries out for those mothers. And I saw her crying tonight. She says, "Oh my God, 2 deaths?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "What's wrong with those people?" I says, "Mom, I don't know. I think they're just bodies and names, and I guess they're talking to people that are soulless, and they're trying to kill people that they say are soulless. So I'm confused on all of this." But I saw my mom cry tonight, and she says, "Oh my God, why don't they stop this?" So to bring my mom in on this abolitionist piece when she tried to stay away from it, and watching her actions and things, it just tore me apart, because I could imagine, had my brother been executed, what would have happened to my mother and our family. So, telling her what's going on around the world, what's going on with these executions, she always wants to know, and she's always asking. So that's why I'm going in and out, trying to keep the noise down. And there's a few other nephews and nieces that they just can't believe that these executions are actually taking place, and the fact that I've been a part of so many of them. So, explaining that to my family.
Can I say something to your mother?
Oh, I left. She's not there now. I had to leave.
Yeah, but no, when you talk to her, tell her that she's loved by all of us, and that those tears are sacred water that she's sharing. And so bless her and bless your family. But I just want to say your mom is right. She's good.
Yes, she's in a wheelchair. She's disabled. But she says if she could get up, she would go kick those governors' ass.
All right.
I was like, wow, Mom, we got to get you to the front line. She says the anger has built up in her over the years, and she's never known what to say because of the fear of always saying the wrong thing. And that's why a lot of people don't speak up, the fear of saying the wrong thing. And I told her, when somebody's dying, somebody's being killed, there's no such thing as the wrong thing, Mom. So, it's almost like me and my mother, for the first time, stood in solidarity on an issue like this, because before she kind of stepped back. So, for her to recognize this, it was an eye opener for me. I'm finally getting through to my family to understand that our family is not the only ones that has gone through this or going through this. There's also others, and finding that compassion for our family to cry for others and to open our arms and show love for others. My family's come a long way. Thank you.
Teach and preach, my brother.
I see, Charles, you're wearing your Black Wall Street jacket tonight. That's great. Let's
all history, Abe. I'm trying to get down to this history, the history of executions, because they're asking now. Because I'm always doing this. So now they're getting older, years older, and they're asking the right type of questions to get those answers out of me instead of just watching me. So, I'm making an impact, with other people, but now I'm starting to make an impact within my own family. And to me, that means more than anything.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Alan, we have another song ready to take us. We'll do another quick check-in on, I just did a refresh on the Supreme Court page, and nothing new on that one.
Can I ask a question? Does Charles sing?
Charles does sing.
Okay.
Terribly.
But yeah, he does sing. But here's Brandon Pfeiffer. He's going to sing for us now.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. See, I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my fears relieve. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Oh, the Lord hath promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and my portion be, as long as this life endures. And when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, oh, but now I see. Oh, I once was lost, but now I am found. I was blind, but now I see.
I just checked refreshed all the Supreme Court pages, and thank you, Marcus, for your checkout. And I think Janet, thank you for your prayer too. I wanted to make sure to say that and hang in as long as you can. We've got a number of people here from Europe and other places. So let's see what that is. Here's a message from Paul. I'm not sure what this means. Witnesses are crossing in Texas. Let's see if we get that over on the. No, just checking the prison show stream.
Sarcastically to the officers who gave their and save them from the fire. Save them from the fire. Oh, yes. I hope they
That's Gloria Ruback is at it.
You know damn well they didn't do that. You know damn well.
All right.
They were driven back.
What the hell? They saved them. Sorry, I'm being it's just ridiculous that they want us to believe.
The execution drugs that Texas uses, number one, have been expired and redated God knows how many times. And number two, where are they getting them? Texas has their own private drug dealers. They're not getting them down on the corner. But who knows? Because they won't tell. As we wait for Texas's execution to take place, we send our condolences to the victim's family in this case, as well as to David Renteria's family. There's no winners here, but there is going to be another set of victims' family members, and that's the family of David Renteria.
Who are innocent.
Yes, the family is innocent, and they're the ones that are getting ready to suffer the trauma of a loved one being murdered by the state of Texas. And here comes more soldiers for the execution. Who the heck are they?
Good God.
This looks like the media.
Looks like the CIA.
It looks like the media.
No, the media.
You can see they're standing right outside the prison, and we're seeing people go and get into the vans, which looks like the Texas execution is going to be going forward here any time now.
Good Lord, look at all those suits. I don't know. Ask them. Gloria.
Who are you?
We're curious who all the men in suits are that are in the middle of the street here. Is this the execution team, the funeral home, or the firing squad? We don't know.
So she's on a loudspeaker, you can see, making sure that all those people can hear what she's doing. I don't know what.
But what we do know is that Texas is getting ready to commit their 586th murder here at the Wells Unit. 586 people they have killed since 1982.
Why? I have never seen so many people. Unless it was the family that went in, the victim's family, but they go in first. They go in at 5.
I forgot to call my friend that has a Native American show. Shit. Now she's on. Oh no, she's not on there till 7.
What time is it?
20.
So we'll check back with them, but we can see here it is at 6:40 Central Time. The witnesses are going in to the prison in Huntsville, Texas. Carol, we kind of cut our conversation short with you, but I want to come back to you. You were there well, it's been a few years since you left El Paso, but you were part of the El Pasoans against the death penalty. And, I reached out to Pat this morning. I didn't hear back from her yet, Pat Delgado. but I wanted to just invite you to, if there's more you want to share about, what's happening and what you know about the case, and any thoughts you're having at this point, Carol Turris.
Well, I don't know what they're going to do after the execution, if there will be some investigation of these gangs. I mean, they are murderous, scary gangs in El Paso and in Juarez. I don't know if they're connected with this case or not, but they were mentioned many times. And I think that if more comes out about them, it'll be better for the community. When in 1999, I listened to Sister Helen Prejean. She spoke at UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso, and I got inspired to get involved in this. I wasn't interested in it particularly, but I had seen the movie, Dead Man Walking, and so I wanted to hear her speak. And I said, is it more difficult, or is it better to have the death penalty insofar as somebody could admit their guilt, like in the movie? They need, the young man had to go through all that to finally come to his acceptance of his own guilt. And she said, no. She said, it's much harder for people to admit guilt when there's the death penalty. And I think the families probably don't realize that. When we started this work in El Paso, Texas was executing about one a week. Some weeks it'd have two. And some weeks, maybe only one or two in the whole month, but it was like that. And we were having many cases that we had to have vigils about. So I'm glad that Texas is finally kind of slacking off. The juries apparently, or the district attorneys, are not going for the death penalty the way they had been back in 1999. They are putting fewer people on death row. And then we have a strong organization in Texas. And they have been working very hard to convince people about the death penalty. So I'm really optimistic that Texas eventually, I thought Texas was going to get rid of the death penalty right when we first started working, because all you would have to do would be to tell people the facts about it. It doesn't work that way. But now, maybe after the facts have been presented over and over and over, maybe people are starting to listen.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. There's just, well, you go way back, obviously, in this movement, and some of us are new, some of us have been around for a very long time, and all of us are here together now. Judy and Esther, do you have any thoughts you want to add to the mix at this point?
You know what I don't quite understand is I thought quite early on he'd been denied. So has there been more filed, or we're waiting for the governor, or what is it?
No, it's a little unusual. So
you can't hear me?
If you could.
I don't know. I'm talking as loud as I can.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Yeah, I just am wondering, where are we at? Because, I mean, the U.S. Supreme Court turned Casey down in the afternoon. So what are we waiting for? The governor?
Not sure. I mean, theoretically, I think the execution should have gone forward starting at 6 o'clock. But we've been looking, I've been checking Twitter like literally every 5 seconds. I'm refreshing it, and I haven't seen anything from media. I Googled like all the news stations. I even saw that Beth Shelburne, who is an investigative reporter in Alabama and often shares about these executions, she is even putting out a call for who's witnessing the executions. I don't think anybody really knows who's witnessing. Tonight, Lee Hedgepeth, who normally posts on Alabama, has shared nothing about Casey, and certainly nothing today. So I don't know. I haven't seen anything, and it is kind of worrisome because we're already at the 45-minute mark, and generally lethal injections, if they are done correctly, are over within 20 to 30, maybe 40 minutes. But we're starting to get into worrisome territory.
Yes, I must say I'm worried too, because they don't bring people in until the person, has been stabbed and so on. I mean, I haven't been media, but I've been a witness otherwise.
And like what happened with Joe James, all the media that was there, they were sitting in a van for like 2.5 hours or something without their phones. So we were all in the dark. So that is also concerning that we're not hearing anything anywhere, and that perhaps media is without their phones right now, regardless of what's happening. So nobody can update.
Nobody knows.
I do know, because I spoke with her, Taylor Pollock
from the governor,
Fox
I guess I
6.
should call her governor. Has one heard that she denied clemency because she has to do that at the end?
Well, I can tell you that Taylor Pollock is a reporter with Fox 6 is witnessing. She is expecting to witness. She interviewed me yesterday and said that she was going to be in there, but she appears to not be very active on her Twitter. She hasn't tweeted anything about this and hasn't had much in a while. So we're all in a holding pattern. What we do know, though, is that the witnesses have gone in Texas. So let's shift over to Texas for a little bit. Alan, maybe you could play the Plum Village song, and then we'll toll our bell, and then after Plum Village, we'll do the Psalm 23 for David Renteria.
Yes, give me just 1 second.
Ali, while you're getting that set up, I see Claire wanted to say something. Claire, go ahead.
I apologize. I just wanted to say hello to all of us and read a few lines from a prayer, a Jewish prayer that I read today. Is that okay?
Please, go ahead.
Okay, let me find it. I didn't think you were going to let me, so I didn't have it up.
Okay. Well,
I'm coming. Hold on. Okay. This is a prayer that was written in the context of the Jewish community praying for peace in Gaza and for protection of Jewish people. But it talks about love and life, and reminded me of what Esther was reading that Casey wrote. Let me pull it up. I apologize. Okay. Help us stand proud and unafraid. Help heal the wounded and comfort the grief-stricken. Help us stay sane in the insanity of our surroundings. Help us help each other. Help us choose the right words when we don't know what to say. Help us do the next right thing when we don't know what to do. Help your children. Help your nation. Protect us as we go our way. Help and thank you. Thank you for building us in the darkness and for showing us how to move on when we are afraid to take another step. Thank you for the love and light and unity that you have instilled within our nation. Thank you for all the people around the world who do pray for our souls and love us and cry for our children. Thank you for the miracles that you have performed since time, big ones, small ones. Here is the emphasis for it that I dedicate to Casey. Thank you for building us up in the darkness. And then the author of the poem says, I'm in awe of the infinite beauty of this world that you have created. I don't need to travel anywhere else to recognize the transcendent light in the rising sun or the glittering wonder of the stars above us. We just need to remember to look around and to look up. And so for all of us, I pray that we look up and say, rest in peace, Casey and David. Amen.
I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining light that supports me, keeping my practice free of obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha in myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realizing the mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma in myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the Sangha in myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities, to embrace all beings and support their transformation.
Somebody posted that the bands have pulled out in Alabama, and we know that the witnesses are gone in Texas. So, Alan, let's play Cantor Zusman.
Shalom Aleichem, peace unto you. Cantor Michael Zusman here with L'chaim, which means to life, Jews against the death penalty and death penalty action. If you're watching this video, it means that our pen pals David Renteria in Texas and Casey McWhorter in Alabama are being led into the valley of the shadow of death to be slaughtered by the government. At this time, I ask that we might consider them in our thoughts, and for those for whom prayers are applicable in our prayers. I'll offer this Psalm 23, which references that valley of the shadow of death, as we consider Casey in Alabama and David in Texas now. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, binot desheyad bitzeni, al mei menuchot yenachaleni, nafshi shovev, nafshi shovev yanacheni, v'magalei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begeit almavet, lo yirara ki ata imadi, shivtecha u'mishantecha. Shivtecha u'mishantecha, hema yenachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, neged tzorei di shanta vashemen roshi, di shanta vashemen roshi, di shanta vashemen roshi, kosirevaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai, v'shavti beveit Adonai, le'orech
Lynn, do you have Psalm 23 in English? And then Jeff Hood will be joining us shortly.
Yes, this is in the New International Version translation. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood.
Oh, hey guys. Yeah, tough night here in home in prison in Alabama. Spent the last 3 days, 4 days, literally all day with Casey McWhorter. Casey, um, experienced a lot of peace, and part of that was due to the fact that he was so pleased with the fact that he got to tell his story. I mean, he did a number of interviews that we set up for him, and wrote a book, and he just wanted people to know that he was more than a murderer, more than one moment in his life. Like I said, just a really sweet guy. I watched him and his mom hold each other for 45 minutes, crying this afternoon, and it was incredibly just devastating. And by the time I was taken back to the chamber, he and I, sat on his. There's a holding cell, and he and I sat in his cell and read scripture for about 45 minutes. We're able to hug each other, shed some tears, and it just was just a difficult time. And from there, I went into the chamber. It's very clear. This is the third state I've witnessed an execution in this year. There is no doubt that Alabama is the least prepared, the least organized, the least professional, the least regimented that I have seen. And one of the things that happened was we got into the chamber, and everything was ready to go. And I had prayed with Casey. I took oil and made the sign of the cross on his forehead. We read the verses in John talking about the adulterous woman and Jesus saving the adulterous woman. You who are without sin, cast the first stone. Of course, I made sure I read that extra loud in the chamber. But as we were getting started, I could hear on their radios, like, I guess the best way of saying it is that something wasn't going right. They have various codes that they use as to what was going right and what was going wrong. And come to find out, they had forgotten about the witnesses. And so they were about to start the execution, and they forgot to bring the witnesses to the prison. And so we sat there for a solid 20 minutes, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I really don't perform well when it comes to remembering these dates or times and dates and whatnot. But we sat there for a long time because they forgot about the witnesses. The other thing that was striking when I was there in the chamber was the holding cell that's off to the right. There was a television in it, and I could hear ESPN playing during the entire execution. I could hear the sportscasters and whatnot. And they kept on looking at each other. I mean, it was just very clear that they just didn't, they didn't know what to do. And it was also clear to me that the instructions that I was given before the execution were not the same instructions that I was, expected to follow during the execution. Casey, again, was very much at peace. It was almost like he was so much at peace. It was almost like he was asleep. And when it came time to give his last words, Casey, I've the amount of time I've known him to be a fighter, and kind of a rabble rouser. We kind of have that in common, I guess. But and on the gurney, he said that, obviously I'm not quoting him directly, but he said that he loved his family, sorry for what he did. And the last thing he did was, the warden of Holman Prison is known for having had numerous criminal charges throughout his career. It's unbelievable that he's the executioner for Alabama. But while the warden was holding the microphone, Casey leaned into the microphone and said, "It's also not lost on me that my execution is being presided over by a habitual abuser of women." And it was very much a moment of, everybody in the room was like, "Oh my gosh, can't believe you just said that." And, but that was Casey. He was strong. He, he wanted to make sure, even until the very end, that he got to say his piece. And I very much encouraged him to do that. And by the time we got done, Casey, I guess I should say, Casey snored for probably about 6 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. So there was an extended amount of time after the sedative hit. He didn't immediately go out. And I think as the thing came to a close, I didn't know, like, in other states, when it's over, it's over. Like there was at least a 10 or 15 minute window after the thing was over to decide whether or not it was over. And it was just very bizarre. And don't get me wrong, there were a number of very kind people that I interacted with, but the whole thing was just very unprofessional. And in my mind, it's very scary that these are the folks who are going to be expected to carry out the first nitrogen hypoxia execution.
Jeff, it sounds like, in comparison to the previous executions, that part of it went without serious complication.
Yeah, that's true. I think that, obviously with all of these executions, it's hard to tell. I mean, at once the paralytic hits, it's hard to tell, but he made it clear to me when I first entered the room that they did not have a problem running the line. He wanted me to know that. And so I'm thankful for that.
That is good news.
No.
You're not coming back in.
I'm about to go.
Yeah, they need you to go ahead on the exit from.
I thought they was going to let me spend the night here.
Oh, you don't want to stay.
Thank you. They're telling me I need to get out of here.
So we're going to run you off. Well, Jeff, it's been a powerful evening. We're still waiting for word on what's happening in Texas, but we're grateful for your witness and for your relaying that experience for all of us who've been watching online.
Yeah, I mean,
here.
If y'all give me a second to turn this thing around, I just think that I just want to reiterate that it just was very clear that that there was just a total lack of professionalism. I mean, the idea that obviously there was a lot that stood out, but probably the thing that stood out the most is that in the background I could hear them talking about Jim Harbaugh at the University of Michigan deciding not to push back against his 3-game suspension. And the only reason I knew that was because I could hear it from within the execution chamber.
Jim Harbaugh being a coach.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is the coach of the University of Michigan's football team, and he was suspended, and they were fighting back and forth with the suspension. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but my point is that I was able to hear loud enough to where I was able to get like specific pieces of news.
Right. I'm just saying that because there are others probably like me who don't give a lick about football and may not know that reference, but I knew where it was because I seen the news. But that's just stunning that the background to an execution is ESPN. Esther has something to
just,
add.
I want to say, thank you, Jeff, because it made all the difference that you were there. And the other thing is, you have to remember, this is Alabama. First in everything bad and last in everything good. Doesn't surprise me one bit. But thank you, because I know you made all the difference. Thank you.
All right. Well, it sounds like Jeff is. Looks like Jeff has lost his signal. Let's see here. We know now that Casey's execution took place. More bumbling by Alabama, but at least the execution itself was without additional unnecessary torture. The whole thing is torture, right? But not like it was for Joe James Jr., not like it was for Kenny Smith, not like it was for others. So that's good news. And so, Ali, thank you very much. I know Ali needs to go here. I want to take a moment here and just give us a moment to breathe. Ali, if you have a moment to give us another prayerful song as we shift and we'll see what's happening in Texas. Is that possible?
Yes, give me just a minute.
Okay, just before we go, Lynn, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Right now, I don't feel like I have anything that is worth hearing. I just want to express my enormous gratitude to Jeff. I've been in that prison so many times. Their ineptitude is visible on every visit. They continue to be in defiance of federal order and pay hundreds of thousands annually to the federal government because they are still below 50% of required staffing.
Thank you, Lynn. Ali, go ahead and give us your words and another tune, and we'll check in with what's happening in Texas after that. Stay tuned. We're still waiting to hear what's happening in Texas.
I was originally going to play the song first and then talk, but I can do it the other way around. So today when I was going on Twitter and on Instagram, I had just seen so many horrible comments and posts about David and Casey, and it made me so mad. And I think many of us on this call feel the exact same way, because once you get to know these people on death row, like certainly the crimes, especially the crime that David Renteria was part of, is absolutely horrific, and every murder is horrific. But I mean, it's just really disturbing to see people taking pleasure in these executions and in other people's deaths. And it just, I don't know, I found myself really angry today because I didn't know Casey and I didn't know David, but I do know that I have known many people in their position, and the people you get to know on death row 20, 30 years after the crime occurred are so completely different than the people that first went to death row many years prior. And like when you actually sit down and get to know these people and visit them and talk to them and communicate with them, like they are so like you and I. They are not these monsters, these horrible people. that have been so misrepresented by the media and by the state. And it's just very disturbing and really angering to see people continuing to push these really hateful narratives of these people. And I mean, I have the word humanity written on the side of my wrist for a reason. That is part of why I got into this work. And I'm grateful that Casey's story was able to get out there with Jeff, and that at least some people were able to see the person who Casey actually was, and not just the person who went to death row in 1993, 1994, over 30 years ago. Yeah, this whole thing tonight is extremely disturbing, and it's a really heavy night, especially now that there's two. I think many of us feel different at every execution, and I find some executions are heavier for me than others. And certainly this night is a very heavy night, even though I didn't know these individuals. But I just really hope we continue, for however long it takes, continue to just lift up the humanity of these people and the people behind the crime, and not just continue to allow the media and other people to just push these really terrible misrepresentations of these people, because they are so much more than that. Now I'll go with the song.
Oh, where is this justice? Where's the justice we need? Tell me, where is this justice we all want to see? And when I marched in the street, I began to see, I saw that the justice we need is the justice that needs me. And tell me, where is the healing? Where's the healing we need? Tell me, where is this healing we all want to see? And when I turn on my TV, I still see so much dis-ease. I see that the healing we need is the healing that needs me. Tell me, where is the peace that we need? Oh, please, where is the peace that we all want to see? So I phoned an old friend. I said, I am sorry for the grief. I know that the peace that we need, and I know that the healing we need, and I see that the justice we need is the justice that needs me and you and me and you and me and you and me.
Thank you. I'm still waiting for some official notice that that David Renteria has been killed, but it appears that that is the case.
Because at the same time that you could be factually innocent, it wasn't that far. It was 46. Look at my.
Looks like we're still waiting for the witnesses to come back in Texas. So that's an interesting development. We're going to continue to stand by as we try to figure out what's happening there. Janet, did you want to add something?
Yes, thanks, Abe. Just to say how saddened I am that we've had to come together, and for two to lose their lives like this. It's a really sad day, and thank you everybody that you've been able to come together to support one another, and especially the families of the two men and all those that have been campaigning. It's really hard, isn't it, for 2 more executions to take place. And I'm grieving alongside you all. Thank you, Ed.
I want to express my gratitude to Janet and Gabby and all of those who live outside of this shadow and don't have to be engaged with this horror, and yet continue to stand with us and send us the love, support, encouragement, and prayers that we need to keep the struggle going.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm just juggling back and forth here as I look for some sense of what's happening in Texas. Looks like we've got some action here.
Okay, is it coming over here? What the hell?
They didn't let anybody out, did they?
No, I don't see anyone. I guess, well, hello. Okay, I guess we're moving.
Well, I'm not gonna move the floor.
Well, they let someone out.
This is those who just joined us late. This is a live
I know.
on the prison show.
They had to get these fancy vans to make up for the. Are they blocking? Okay, there's the CIA.
All right.
Oh, maybe their door to let people out is on that side of the van. Well, it appears that Texas has committed murder again tonight. It appears that the witnesses
have returned from the death chamber, along with the men in black. And I don't think any of them were Tom Cruise. Weird prediction.
Yeah, this didn't happen like this last time.
I didn't see anybody that looked like a door.
All right, well, there we have it. The witnesses are back in Texas. We will find out if, what more has happened in terms of if there were any issues with the execution with David Renteria. I guess we'll watch for that for notice on that on the news. But clearly tonight we've juggled and seen and stood witness in opposition to two executions happening at about the same time, which I'm trying to find out if we've seen this. It hasn't happened in recent memory. We've seen two executions on the same day, but at different times, and these were scheduled at both times. It's like Jeff is coming back. Jeff, we're just seeing the witnesses are just arriving back in Texas, so we know that execution has occurred as well. But I see you found a signal again now that you're a bit further away from the prison. So what more would you like to add?
Yeah, I called back just to add that, and I'm driving, so I'm just talking. That's why there's no picture. But I was just gonna say that just how thankful I am for Esther Brown, and the work she does with Project Hope here in Alabama. I'm thankful for my friend Lynn Hopkins, and there's just such a magical group of people here in Alabama doing this work, and I just felt like I would be remiss if I didn't say that. And I also wanted to say that one of the last things that Casey told me was just how thankful he was that for Project Hope, and how thankful he was for abolitionists and all the people who do the work that we all do. He was just talking about how that just gave him so much life in his final days.
Jeff, I don't know if you see it, but I put up the picture of you and Casey while you were talking, and which is such a joyful picture, and it's great that you were able to get that. Right. Well, there's no doubt that he knew that he was loved very much, and like I said, it's just an amazing privilege to have for him to have asked me, for him to have chosen me to spend this time with him. So. All right. Well, you get to have a little bit of your life back now for a little while. And, everybody, tomorrow is another day, and we get to keep the struggle going. There is one more execution scheduled in this calendar year so far that there can shift. It's possible. Another one or two could be scheduled within some states. Georgia can announce a date and carry it out in 2 weeks. But we're getting down to the wire, and we may just have one. And the one that is left is Phil Hancock in Oklahoma, where he has a recommendation for clemency from the Pardon and Parole Board in Oklahoma, which means that it's on Governor Stitt, and we all need to be making sure that we're signing the petitions and making the phone calls, although we're not putting a big push on for phone calls at this moment because there's conversations happening behind the scenes. Hopefully, the governor will not wait a long time before he announces the right decision to stop that execution. and commute that sentence. We'll see what happens. The good news about the stuff in Oklahoma in particular is that very hardcore right-wing pro-death penalty legislators have had their eyes open to how screwed up the system is in that state. And no matter what happens, we know that they're talking about instituting a moratorium legislatively on executions in Oklahoma. So that's November 30th is the next possible execution, and possibly the last execution in the United States this year. There's the other thing that's happening that'll be coming up, and there's a petition going up on it's already up for, just double check this. There's the next guy scheduled in Oklahoma is, get this in front of me here. Actually, let me just share my screen again. Here we are. This is the front page of Death Penalty Action. You can see there's Phil Hancock that I was just talking about, but if you go here to the more execution petitions, you'll see we're talking about James Ryder in Oklahoma. And James Ryder in Oklahoma is, I just was learning some things about him. He apparently has some very severe mental health issues. But his clemency hearing is coming up. I think it's December 7th or 8th. So we need to wrap up that petition and be ready to submit that before that clemency hearing in just a couple of weeks, even though that execution date is not until February. February 1st is his date in Oklahoma. The clemency hearing is in the first week or so of December. So we need to be ready for that one. And I hate to be talking about all the things that are next. Looking at the comments here. So much to keep up on. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for participating tonight. Technologically, we seem to have pulled it off in terms of juggling the two executions. So I'm grateful for that and for everybody that's helped make this happen and for all of us being together, because that's the important thing, is that we're standing witness together against executions. And each one of us, each one of you, by being here, is making a difference and taking this message back to our communities and letting people know there's something that we can do, even if it's just standing up and saying it's wrong. So on behalf of Death Penalty Action and everybody in Texas and everybody in Alabama, if I may be so bold, thank you all for participating tonight and for knowing that we're making a difference and for carrying the light and carrying this and helping us shine the spotlight on these executions. And with that, I want to say thank you and good night. We're going to play another song on the way out, and then we'll be done. And we will continue the fight.
Not in my name. Stop executions now. Light the flame of abolition. Make our world a better one. Make our world a peaceful one. Not in my name. Not in my name. Stop executions now. Light the flame of abolition. Make our world a better one. Make our world a peaceful one. life there's too much danger. Someone's killed by any chance. Suspect is chased and arrested. Maybe guilty, but who knows? Verdict of a clueless jury. Death sentence the bailiff shows. Not in my name, not in my name. Stop executions now. Execution. Light the flame of abolition. Make our world a better one. Make our world a peaceful one. Feeling with you hurt and grieving, hardly finding words to say. How could anyone endure which destiny you have to pay? Don't strike back, don't be revengeful. Seek forgiveness instead. Peace and freedom from within needs breaking circles of the dead. Not in my name, not in my name. Stop executions now. Execution. Light the flame of abolition. Make our world a better one. Make our world a peaceful one. Light a candle for the victims, both of crimes and punishment. Peace and closure can't be found in violence being permanent. Seek for justice, practice mercy. Stop to execute for crime. Break the spell of hate and evil. Abolition, now it's time. Not in my name. Stop executions now. Light the flame of abolition. Make our world a better one. Not in my name, not in my name. Stop executions now.